Hey guys, Luke here, and the 2020 NRL season is just about to kick off. It starts tonight. The Bulldogs take on the Eels. I am so excited, and I feel like I need to do my predictions video. I should have done it ages ago, but I mean, it's better late than never, right? Now, last week I sat down, I got a bit of paper, and I wrote down my Dally M medal winner. I wrote down the minor premiers and premiers, top try scorer, top point scorer, the biggest fall, biggest rise, biggest disappointment, wooden spoon, the surprise team, and who I think is going to play in the grand final. I've got the sheet here. I'm going to read them off, and I'm also going to give a few thoughts, sort of go over my thought process when I was coming up with these teams. Now, just before we get into the video, make sure you go ahead and give me a follow on all social media. It's MrLuke on my T. It's on the screen right now, and also give me a like on Facebook as well. It's MrLuke. Just search it up. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into my predictions. So first up, we're going to go with the minor premiers. Now, last year I think it was pretty easy to predict that one. I think the Roosters were a given. The team was so good. They won a premiership the year before, and then they got stronger. This year, not so much. The Roosters have gone into this season. They do have quite a strong side. However, Cooper Cronk's gone and Boyd Corder's injured and stuff. There's a few missing players. Latrell Mitchell obviously gone as well. It's not so much of a given this year. And you look at the rest of the side, the rest of the teams, it's quite even. There's no one who's really standing out. There's a lot of teams who do look pretty good. But, I mean, we've got to wait and see how they play, or they've got some new recruits, need to see if they gel or not. Teams like the Eels and the Cowboys, Knights, they're teams that do have potential to rise up. Even like the Rabbitohs, they've lost a few players, but they've also recruited pretty well as well. Yeah, I don't really know who to go for minor premiers, but I think I'm just going to go with the Roosters. I think they're the safe bet compared to all the rest of the teams. They've been there and done it, and they do still have a pretty strong and experienced side. And I do think Kyle Flanagan will be able to handle it. And Luke Keary is definitely capable of stepping up to the plate and controlling that side. He's done it in the past. I'm sure he'll do it again. But yeah, I really don't know. I've just gone with the Roosters just because I really don't know. And then for the premiers, I have gone with the Roosters as well. I seem to pick Roosters every year, and they seem to win every year. So, yeah, the Roosters, what can you say? They're a great team. And like I said before, there's a few teams I could see knocking them off, like the Rabbitohs, Eels, those sort of teams. But you just have to wait and see how they go. Every year, I feel like a team like the Eels, we look at them and we say, yep, they're going to be good. And then come middle point of the season, you go, yeah, maybe not so much. So, I don't know. The Roosters, I feel like they're probably going to be the most consistent team. And I think in the end, they'll get the grand final. Get the premiership, I should say. But then, I mean, the Raiders were very, very close to getting it last year. Could they do it this year? Possibly, but yeah, I've just gone with the Roosters. For Dally M, there's a few players I tossed up. Guys like Mitchell Moses, Jason Tamalalo and stuff, I thought they polled pretty well, but I've gone with Cameron Smith. I do think the Storm will have a pretty decent season. I think they'll make the 8. I've seen a lot of people predicting them to get the minor premiership and stuff. Not sure about that. The side isn't exactly like super strong, however, it's not like a terrible side either. And I feel like Cameron Smith's really going to carry this side, especially with Brandon Smith being out. So he's going to be there. He's going to be playing hooker. You know, he's just going to be controlling the game as he does, and he's not missing any games during Origin, which I feel like is a big factor in getting the Dally M as well. So yeah, I'm just going to pick Cameron Smith. I don't know if it's going to be a popular decision, but I mean, it's his last season. Well, maybe not his last season, but there's lots of talks about him maybe retiring at the end of the season. So I can see Cameron Smith going out with a bang and going out with the Dally M medal. Now moving on to the top try scorer. Now this time I originally had Kemba Marlowe as my pick, and I thought, you know, like he scores lots of tries, and then I was sort of looking at it and going, Warriors, I don't know how many tries they're going to score. I mean, Tuivasa-Sheck, if he goes down injured, I don't know how much firepower they have. But Harris Davida's in the halves. They've got Nick Arima there. Blake Green's still there. I mean, they've got a fairly decent attacking side. But I don't know. I just looked at Sivo. I saw how many tries he scored last year. It wasn't even close. He was so far ahead of everyone last year. The only sort of question mark I have hanging over Sivo is more so the off-field stuff that's happening with him. Just in terms of, you know, if anything happens with him where he can't play, or if an injury happens or something. But as long as Sivo plays at least half decent, I think he'll get top try scorer. Now moving on to top point scorer. It's a bit of a surprise when this guy doesn't get it. Now I think last year I picked Isako, but he didn't end up playing much of first grade. But this one, I think I'm pretty confident with this one. I'm going to go with Jared Croker. He just re-signed with Canberra. I'm pretty sure he'll be playing quite a bit of first grade for the Raiders, as long as he's not injured, that is. He's not going to get picked for Origin, that's for sure. So he's going to be there. He does all the goal kicking, scores quite a number of tries. And maybe they're going to go out to him a little bit more as well, that Leilua's not there anymore, Rapana's not there. So maybe he's going to see a little bit more ball. Who knows? But Jarrod Croker, fantastic player. Probably unlucky to not get an Origin jersey at this point, but hey, what can you do? But yeah, top point scorer, that's what I'm going to go with, Jarrod Croker. Now we're moving on to the team who I think is going to make the biggest rise in the ladder, rise in position compared to last year. I'm going to go with the Cowboys / Newcastle Knights. It's hard to split them. I feel like the Cowboys definitely have a really, really good roster. I think a lot of it comes down to Valentine Holmes, whether he is comfortable in at fullback. I think he will be. And then Newcastle, I feel like if they can play to their potential, they can definitely be a top 4 capable side. They've got a lot of good players, your Clemmers, Pongers, Mitchell Pearce, and then if Brayley sort of plays pretty well, they just need to find themselves a 5'8". If they can find themselves someone who's at least half decent, I think they'll be alright. They're in the top 8, which is definitely a big improvement from previous season. And the Cowboys, I think last year was definitely underachieving. They should have done way better than what they did. Their roster, their forward pack is quite stacked. I made them on Rugby League Live 4, and their computer was just blitzing through everyone. So, on paper, they do have a really, really good side, and it's even better this year. So I'm expecting them to play to their potential and probably get in the top 8. Obviously, they're also a team who I can see, just going to shit and not playing well at all. But, Drinkwater, I think he's been a great addition. Him in the half should be good. And then Valentine Holmes at fullback. Even Reece Robson is putting some pressure on Granville. So whether Granville gets back to form or whether he gets dropped or whatever, there's going to be some pressure on him. And I think the hooker position, they'll be okay. Because previous seasons, Granville's been pretty trash, to be honest. And I think it has really hurt the Cowboys. And Michael Morgan's had no support from the spine. So, yeah, I'm thinking the Cowboys are going to have a pretty good season this year. Now moving on to who I think is going to have the biggest fall, I'm going to go with the Cronulla Sharks. Now, last year they were sort of pushing for a top 4 spot. They made the top 8 pretty comfortably, I'm pretty sure. This season, there's just so much turmoil. The whole talk about Josh Morris, he's finally been released, but he's going to play a few games. They've got a lot of injuries, a lot of player turnover as well in terms of like Paul Gallen's gone. I don't know. I just can't see it being a top year for the Sharks. I don't think they're going to be like wooden spoon or anything, but I can just see them having a major downfall compared to previous seasons. They've always been a team who's had the potential to, maybe push for a top 4, maybe even a premiership. They've had a pretty good run over the years and sort of got a lot of youngsters coming in now. Bronson Jerry's, Jesse Ramien's back. I think they're going to have a decent season, but yeah, just the whole Josh Dugan, Josh Morris, it just seems like a lot of turmoil at the club. Now moving on to my biggest disappointment for the season. Now this is a little bit different to the biggest downfall. The Sharks, I feel like, are expected to fall. This next team, I don't think sort of expected to have that bad of a season. I'm going to go with the Penrith Panthers. They've got a new halves combo. James Mullaney's gone. James Mullaney usually only lasts a few seasons at the club. I think this might be the first time he's not made a grand final with the team, and I think the Panthers are probably one of the more talented sides he's played with, and he couldn't manage it with them. Jerome Luai steps in, or Burton, or whatever his name is, but it's Jerome Luai to start off the season anyways. Nathan Cleary definitely needs to step up, but they've got such a young side, but they're a side that gets talked up every year by the media. They get talked up so much, like Aikens at fullback. I don't really know much about him, yet you read in the papers and they'll tell you they're like a top 8 sure thing. So yeah, I don't know much about the Panthers side. A lot of them are quite unknown. I also do think, while I've put them as the biggest disappointment, they also have the potential to be biggest surprise packet too, just because of so many unknowns there, so many youngsters, and then you're adding guys like Billy Kickow and Nathan Cleary, and Coruscant's a good signing. Capewell, they do have some good players, but I feel like just for the expectations the Panthers are going to have, I don't think they'll match it or get anywhere close to it. Now for the surprise packet, I did have the Bulldogs. This was before the whole Bulldogs incident sort of happened with the school kid stuff, the Ockenbaugh, Harry O'Nara stuff. Going into this game that's on tonight, the game against the Eels, I was fairly confident, and then that whole incident happened, and I'm going, oh shit. Just looking at previous seasons when, the Dragons haven't handled things pretty well since their sort of incidents, and other teams who have been in similar predicaments, they sort of tend to turn to shit throughout the season. So the Bulldogs already don't have that great of a side. I was more banking on them to sort of band together, defend well, and sort of grind out victories, but I don't know if there's some disharmony over the Ockenbaugh, Harry and stuff. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe it's going to kill the spirit of the Bulldogs, but I did have them as my surprise packet in terms of being able to get a few upsets just based off the end of last season. But I mean, I did do this last week and I'm not so confident in that right now, but I'm just going to stick solid with them. I can't think of any other team who's going to be a super big surprise packet, so let's just go with the Bulldogs. So now we move on to the wooden spoon, and this one, it's always controversial. There's always people in the comment section below who come back in like a year's time and go, can't believe you didn't pick the Bulldogs, or I can't believe you didn't pick the Titans. They'll probably do it after tonight's game. Bulldogs probably get towed up by the Eels, and then they'll come in and go, can't believe you didn't pick the Bulldogs. But as you can tell by the way I'm talking, I haven't picked the Bulldogs. I've picked the New Zealand Warriors, actually. Now, every year, I think the Warriors, they somehow escape it. I'm not even going to say they get close to getting the wooden spoon. A lot of times they're quite ahead of it. But I just look at their side this year, and I just look at it and I go, it's not great, is it? I mean, Sean Johnson's carried them in the past. Tuivasa-Sheck's carried them in the past. I think Tuivasa-Sheck's injured for the first part of the season, I think. It could be. Well, anyways, if an injury happens to him, I think they really don't have much. They went and signed Nrl last year. They've given him a pretty big contract for him to now come off the bench, essentially what he was going to do at the Broncos. Harris Tavita, I think it was clear to like everybody except the Warriors that he was the future of their halves, and they're finally giving him a go. But yeah, Nrl on there is going to be a bit of disharmony. Hook position's not exactly the strongest point for them either. Yeah, I don't know, the Warriors, they're a team that they've never won the wooden spoon. I'm not sure how they haven't yet. Is this going to be the year? Who knows? There's a lot of teams I can look at and say, yeah, they don't look great. Titans are one. Tigers, I look at their side, and I think the Tigers team looks very good at all. I think theirs looks pretty poor. I wouldn't be surprised if they got the wooden spoon. The Bulldogs, obviously, I talked about their off-field stuff as well as the team just on-field. Doesn't look fantastic either, but I've just gone with the Warriors for the time being. I mean, who knows? Now, moving on to my last prediction. This is going to be for the grand final. Now, I've already said the Roosters are going to win the premiership, so therefore they're going to be in the grand final. Who do I think they're going to play, though? I think they're going to be playing the Parramatta Eels. The Eels, definitely a side who are capable of making the grand final, going on a bit of a run, and they also have a lot of players who ride momentum, your Mitchell Moses and stuff. I can see them going on a bit of a run and then just falling short in the grand final. However, I mean, I could see them winning it too. They're the sort of side, like I said, they ride their momentum big time, and I can just see the fans getting behind them. I mean, look at the Raiders last year. The fans really get behind them. The Eels haven't made a grand final in a little while, especially haven't won one in a long time. So I can see the fans get behind them hardcore. I could see the media getting behind them big time. Sort of kind of them being like the fairy tale this year. The media loves it. The NRL loves that sort of stuff. But yeah, I can see the Roosters sort of ruining it and getting the premiership. But I mean, the grand final is so hard to predict, especially before the ball's even being kicked off. I mean, injuries happen. New players break out. You just have to wait and see. Probably by Origin, we might get a better gauge of how the season's going. But we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, those are my predictions. Make sure you leave them in the comment section below. What are your predictions? Go through and name all the ones like I named and let me know what your thoughts are. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and follow me on social media. MrLuke and YT is my Twitter and Instagram. It's on the screen right now. My Facebook is also in the description below as well. It's MrLuke, just search it up. And go ahead and add me on Snapchat, MrLuke and YT as well. I'll probably be posting on that quite a bit during the footy season. Be posting videos of me watching it and giving my quick thoughts and stuff. I don't really know exactly what I'll post, but yeah, go ahead and add me on it. Anyway, guys, 2020 NRL season kicks off tonight. Go the Bulldogs. Hopefully it's a good season. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.